What's up and welcome in, y'all. You found yourself locked on Bulls. I'm Matt. That's Big Dave. It's Friday, October 15th, and we've got a great fun guest for y'all today. A recurring guest here on Locked On Bulls. He is an Evanston native and actor, and most importantly, a die-hard Bulls fan. We're going to get his thoughts on this fun upcoming Bulls season. It's the one and the only Zach Gilford here with us on Friday, Locked On Bulls. Let's go.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Here are your hosts, Matt Peck and Big Dave Watson.
What's up and welcome into Locked On Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm Matt Peck. You can follow me on Twitter at Bulls_Peck. You can follow my co-host Big Dave at BAWL, B-A-W-L Sports. And today we are very pleased to welcome in two away from being part of the Five Timers Club here on Locked On Bulls. A man who is a Evanston native, Northwestern grad, an actor who stole my heart as Matt Saracen in the hit show Friday Night Lights, and most recently, one of the most popular series on Netflix right now in the spooky October month, Midnight Mass. Welcoming back to Locked On Bulls, Zach Gilford. Zach, how are you, man? Thanks for being here.
I'm good, man. I got two quick questions. You said you're at Bulls_Peck, but there's no underscore on your tag there.
Oh, yeah. The people who made that graphic for us got that wrong. Thanks for pointing that out.
and speaking of graphics, you're like, we're going to play a quick video. Is there a video? Because all I saw was red and it said Locked On Bulls.
I ain't gonna lie, Zach. When he said video, I for real was thinking, oh, we're putting a new video in of Zach today or something. What's going on? This is what we're doing? Oh, okay, cool.
So
that's what I said in my head.
Just red.
Maybe it doesn't show for guests that get brought into the link. I'm not really sure. It's just like a quick little graphic that says Locked On Bulls with a voiceover on top of it. So, but you didn't see any of that.
No, I saw the graphic. I thought there was going to be a video.
Yeah.
So I was just staring at a graphic for a minute. Like, okay.
I mean, I can play something off YouTube if you want, Zach. I can put a video on YouTube if you like. I can do anything you want to do.
No, it's good. You know, it's fine.
We're still new at this YouTube game for the most part, so you never know what kind of wild cards are going to pop up. Zach, like I said, it's great to have you back, man. I think the last time we chatted with you on the pod, it was quarantine, early pandemic, and the Bulls had just made this huge, shocking shift to hire Arturas Karnisovas, and John Paxson had stepped aside. Tons of overhaul since then. When you look at what the Bulls have done this offseason, what was the most shocking thing to you, whether it was a player signing or anything else?
It just is like the fact that the team is totally different now, and I think we all, when AK and Eversley came on and it was like Boylan stuck around forever, and like I'm with you, I knew they were going to get rid of him, but the roster was basically the same all last season. You're just like, what is going on? This is kind of boring. And then, finally they just cleared house. They got an all new team. The only remaining people are Zach and I don't know. Is there one other person, or is it just him?
Kobe.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of hard to pinpoint something because it's a whole new team, and I'm so excited for the season. Just I'm not someone who thinks we're going to the finals or anything, but it's just going to be fun to watch. Not garbage.
Fact. No, I want to know though, Zach. Like, you got to tell them, because it's kind of like an important moment in Bulls fans' life that they remember where they were and what they were doing when they heard the news that we fired the bald-headed menace. So where were you when we got rid of that dude and we got him off our team, and what was your reaction when they got rid of him?
I was in the same place I'd been for months, which was my house.
Place to be.
I'm pretty sure I was in what we call my office, which is the laundry room.
It's a multi-purpose room.
Yeah. I'm not even kidding. So we have to move around a lot for work, and each house I'll be like, oh my God, my office is amazing. I hate my office. It sucks. Like right now, my office is nothing. It's like there's no room. It's just the laundry's in another room, and I gotta like pull out the iron board to fold the laundry. Anyway, this has nothing to do with basketball. I'm talking about laundry.
Yeah, made it exciting. Good job.
Yeah. So I was just pumped, but like I kind of was on the same page as Matt, where I knew it was gonna happen. It was just kind of waiting for it to happen. And so it wasn't too celebratory because it was like, okay, finally. And then it was just, curious to see who we hired. And I remember specifically when they announced Donovan, I was up here in Vancouver, and I remember like exactly the street I was walking on, the corner I was on, because I was just so like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And so I think that was kind of the beginning of the excitement of things, and then just changing. So.
Yeah, Dave, when we had Zach on last time, he was telling us this story about how you were shooting something. I can't remember if it was a movie or TV show, but like you were playing a character who had like been taken prisoner or captive, or was like being held against his will, like in like a prison cell or somewhere dark and dingy and dirty. And you were like method acting, thinking about how much you hated the Bulls in that moment and were rooting for them to lose every night because it just it made your blood boil.
It was literally the game against OKC when they blew like a 25-point lead. And I was just sitting there watching in between takes the score update, and I was like, yeah, I hope they lose this. I hope they lose this.
Now, when you finished, did the director say, I don't know where you got that from, but you really took it there?
Like, I don't know where you went. I was like, a dark place.
Right.
Oh my god! But hopefully now the next time you're doing some method acting and maybe pulling from your Bulls fandom, it could be about something positive, something bright. You were saying to us before we hit record that you haven't had a lot of time to watch these Bulls preseason games because you're a father of 2 young kids. But of what you've seen, maybe you've grabbed a highlight here or there, or just see what people are talking about. As we are, gearing up for their final preseason game tonight. The Bulls have won their first 3. Do you feel optimistic that all of these new pieces are going to fit well together and the Bulls are going to legitimately, contend in the East for a playoff spot?
Yeah, I mean, I think if they don't make the playoffs, I think we'd all be a little bit shocked.
Right.
And I feel like, I don't think it's outlandish to think they might be a 6th seed and not have to do the play-in tournament or whatever. And I think, when they signed DeRozan, I wasn't like, what? That doesn't make sense. But I was a little like, wait, so is he going to come off the bench? Is like, because I thought he kind of played the same position as Levine. But the more I listened and the more I read, I haven't been following DeRozan closely in San Antonio, so I didn't really know the way he had evolved his career and his position. And the more I learned, the more excited I got. And I think all these pieces kind of make sense together. I think Donovan's a smart coach where he makes schemes for the players he has and doesn't try to like fit square pegs into round holes the way, your best friend Boylan did.
Big Dave was too unnecessarily kind to Boylan, by the way. In our few encounters, Big Dave was way nicer to Jim Boylan than he needed to be.
I'm just being me, man. I can't help who I am, Zach.
No, you got to be nice to people. You don't know where they come from. Just because they're bad at their job doesn't mean you got to be mean to them.
Zach wasn't even nice. Like, he just walked by and I shook his hand and said, "Hey, coach." And Matt was like, "What the hell are you doing?" I'm like, "We're in the United Center. Like, what do you want me to do?"
I mean, I wouldn't have called him coach.
Right.
I've always refused to call, that whatever. Trump.
Yeah.
I never called him president ever.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I mean, I thought you were making it a stretch.
Right.
I think you were taking it a stretch when you just referred to Jim as people. Like, I'm not even convinced that he's an actual human.
Did he
come down
anywhere?
from
Is
Bulls
he
fans
working
miserable.
right now?
He's just making the rounds and showing up to NBA camps around the
I
nation.
saw
That's
that Tom Fido welcomed him to a New York Knicks practice earlier this very week. So,
wow.
because I'm a Bulls fan and I don't want the Knicks to be good, I hope that Tibbs listens to Jim and ruins the Knicks. That would be great for us.
Yeah, no mid-range shots for anybody.
No.
That's right. Good job.
No, absolutely not. We got to get more of Zach's thoughts on this upcoming Bulls season. We'll do that in just a minute. First, though, NBA fans, we are just days away from the kickoff of the regular NBA season. And we've told y'all about that sleeper app if you want to play week-long NBA fantasy. But what if you are a daily fantasy player? Well, we've got you covered there, too. Prize Picks has the best NBA DFS prop game on the market. Have you heard about them? If not, tune in. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. I love this, and I know you will too. Prize Picks offers more NBA props than any other DFS prop operator and offers all the superstar players as well as bench players, only recording a handful of minutes each game. Offers any prop you can think of, and all users that deposit on their first sign-up will receive an instant 100% deposit match up to $100. Just be sure to use promo code NBA when you do that. Pick 2 to 5 players and an over-under on their projections, and you can win up to 10x on any entry, and it's just you versus the projected numbers. Prize Picks allows mixed sports entries, too, so you can take the over on LeBron James points tonight combined with the under on Patrick Mahomes touchdowns in the same entry. Super cool. Use the award-winning app on both the App Store and Google Play. Entries can be made in 60 seconds or less. It's actually that easy. Prize Picks is safe and offers fast withdrawals. Don't hesitate. Check out prizepicks.com and use promo code NBA or go to your app store and download the app today. Prize Picks is daily fantasy made easy. All right. So we touched on the whole like DeRozan and Zach fit thing, Zach. What about Lonzo Ball? Like, obviously he's a name that has been coming up in bull circles for, basically since the draft. People were like, I want Lonzo Ball. Trade rumors earlier last season. There was maybe some Lowry marketing for Lonzo talks that broke down. How do you see Lonzo fitting into this team? And were you pro Lonzo before that move was made?
I was all, I'm all in. He fits a huge hole that we had. He's a point guard. He's a good distributor. He can play defense, which was something that we were lacking on. And also, it's fun to have a name show up. And I know he's not a name and he's never been an all-star or anything like that yet, but a little I can't believe I'm about to use this word, but like a little pizzazz on the team. It's like a person, no offense, it used to be Archie and, people you've never heard of. So it's kind of fun to have players on your team that everybody who follows the NBA knows who they are. And, so far I know we've just been bum slaying in the preseason, but it seems to be fitting, and it seems like they're all buying in. And, like I know you guys have said, he wanted to be here, and that makes such a huge difference. And we weren't, no one else would give him the money he wanted. So it was like, all right, I guess I'll go there and take the money. It just seems like we got a team of guys who are excited to be playing together. They're excited to be playing for Donovan. They're excited to be in Chicago. And I think that's going to really excite the fan base and give us something fun to watch and something to root for. It sucks rooting against your team.
Yes,
sure does.
Yeah.
It's true. Let me ask you about Patrick Williams, man, because he's definitely somebody that everybody is kind of looking at this season to try to take that leap from, what we saw him doing his rookie year. Like we saw some things from him, we saw flashes, but overall, it was an okay rookie season. But then we saw him in the summer league, try to elevate his game, and get more vocal and more aggressive like that. What are you looking for out of this season for Patrick Williams on such a stacked starting lineup?
That's exactly what I'm so curious about, because I think if we had not packed the roster so much with such established people and leaders, I would have much higher expectations for him, to make some sort of big leap, like, and more of what he did in summer league. But now it's kind of like, it's good and it's not bad, but I think it takes a little of the excitement off, because it's like, oh, cool, he's got more of like a time period where he can learn and develop, and we don't need to rely on him to take some huge step forward. However, maybe he does, and how dope would that be to have this young player who just steps up and now is kind of like the beast we thought he would be, and maybe some of the other players I don't want to say a step back, but, let him shine a bit, and just help him be the best he can be.
Zach, have you bought your Alex Caruso jersey yet?
No, not yet. I know that you're apparently going to shave your head and get a headband.
If the Bulls finish as a top 4 seed in the East, I believe that was the promise that was made.
That was what it was.
Yeah.
Okay,
He said it, though. He did say it.
Yeah.
I'm still concerned about it, but I want to see it. I want to see what it looks like. But Zach, I got a question for you, Zach, because
Yeah.
Matt told me this story. I didn't know about this, but he told me about your Scottie Pippen tattoo that you have. And my question to you is, not about the tattoo. My question is, what was your family's reaction when they found out about this tattoo you have? Or have they even found out yet? Are they finding out now for the first time?
So I, for like months, I wore a Nike sweatband around my leg to cover it up whenever I was around my family. If I was wearing shorts, if I was wearing pants, who cares? And then finally I was like, oh, forget it. This is so annoying. And I showed my mom, and I think her reaction was, do you need to go to a psychiatrist?
No, Mom, I've never been thinking more clearly.
No, I mean, it was just, it's so many dumb things. Like, this wasn't as big of a deal, but when I was much younger, so I tattooed myself when I was 13. And I can't remember, I think I was like 10, and I got my ear pierced, and it was the summer. And so to hide it, I wore like a winter stocking hat all the time around my family. And my mom would be like, it's so hot. Why are you wearing that hat? I said, it's cool, Mom. Shut up. Because it's cool.
Because I'm a hipster in training,
right.
Ma. Leave me alone.
Yeah, because it's 1992 and this is cool.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I'm into the grunge thing now, Mom. That's what's going on here. Just sweat dripping. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, my God. It was so bad.
I like how both the things you went to induce sweat. Like, they just bring on serious amounts of sweat. And what's your decision making right there? Wow.
Well, yeah, and that's before they had your sweat stick or no sweat.
Sweat block, baby.
Yeah. Sweat block.
Could have saved you there, Zach. Could have saved you.
Speaking of which, we've got an ad read from the one and only Zach Gilford coming on later in today's episode because he wanted to do one because that's what people want now. That's what people want. They don't want Bulls talk. They want ad reads.
No, they want commercials.
Because he came up, Zach, we talked in our last chat a year ago during the pandemic, and the Last Dance and stuff was going on, and there was a lot of talk about Scottie and the Bulls and all the drama back in the day. I'm not sure if you paid close attention to his latest media tour with he came out with his own line of bourbon, and he's got this new autobiography coming out that's basically here's my side of the story because the Last Dance was trash. He's out here on like Dan Patrick calling Phil Jackson a racist. What's your take on everything that's been going on with Scottie Pippen in the media this year, where it's he's just going scorched earth on everybody?
I know. I'll tell you honestly, where it started was I heard about his bourbon, and I literally texted a link to my wife, and I was like, two of my favorite things, Scottie Pippen and bourbon. I mean, look, I'm just drinking the water out of an empty bourbon bottle.
Okay, thank you. That was throwing me off for a long time. I was like, hey, should we have a talk? What's going on with that right here, man?
It's only 9 a.m. in Vancouver, right?
I wasn't going to judge you. I wasn't going to judge you, but, if you wanted to talk, I'm here. That's all I'm saying.
Dave, we all got to get through this pandemic somehow.
Okay? I can't watch preseason basketball. I'm going crazy.
Come on. Fucking kids.
Right.
How am I supposed to parent sober? Anyway, so that's where it started.
Oh, man.
And then from there, everything I read that he said, I was like, why? And there's no, right, if it's all leading up to his autobiography and there's some big stories, but I don't think he's that, being that strategic about some big reveal that's coming up. And so you're just a little why? I got plenty of thoughts about certain people I've worked with or whatever, and I would never, ever, ever voice those things because why? You just start drama. So
is Scottie your favorite Bull? I mean, I know Jordan is everybody's usual, go-to default, but is Scottie your favorite Bull though?
He is. And, I've told this story, so I'll make it quick. But, I got that tattoo. It was the season Jordan retired. And I was like, man, fuck Jordan. Pippen's carrying the team. And, he should be MVP. And, so I think it just kind of ingrained in my heart. I kind of realized like we all get Jordan. Like, he's amazing. He's the greatest. But the all-around player that Scottie was, I think I really, in that time, like, learned how amazing he was and how there were so few players like him. So, yeah, and I'm just super stubborn.
Like
so
the point forward in a time before the point forward was a thing.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think it's just like I've brainwashed myself into thinking that I like Scottie better than Michael.
I got friends like you. It's okay. I got friends just like you.
Yeah.
Zach, do you think that like a lot of the NBA talking heads out there on the national scale, that the Bulls are going to be atrocious on defense this year? Because Dave and I have had talks about that, and you mentioned Lonzo and his defense. We brought up Caruso for a hot second. Those guys are both going to add some quality defense, and the Bulls look a little undersized as far as height. Hopefully, they get Tony Bradley back and ready for the start of the NBA regular season. But what they do have is a lot of length. Are you concerned, or are you optimistic about what the Bulls will look like defensively? Because I think we're all pretty excited about what they're going to do on the offensive end.
I think I'm actually pretty optimistic. I don't remember if it was yesterday in the last couple of days, but Dave, you said something about, when you have good defenders around, it makes it easier for the not so great defenders to play better. I mean, that's just 100% true. I mean, I think you made an amazing point, and I think it's really going to play out this season. And again, kind of like I had said, when people want to be there and they're buying into the system, like we've all said, Zach made more of an effort on Team USA. And I think when you're not checked out because you're a dumpster fire, I think you'll just make more of an effort. And effort goes a long way, as trite as that is.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, it's that time. Big Dave, you gotta peddle some products, and then give Zach his chance to peddle some products.
Now y'all have to listen to me on this one, because I am an elite athlete, so this is made for me. All right.
True story.
This is elite athlete, or someone else, some normal people out there might use this also through your stress and your daily lives and things like that. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't want to, drink bourbon because your kids are stressing you out. You need something to relax yourself, okay? And what you need is Theragun. It's the handheld percussive therapy device that releases your deepest muscle tension using a scientifically calibrated combo of depth, speed, and power. So basically, it is the Zach LaVine of percussive therapy devices. And it is as quiet as an electronic toothbrush. Now, whether you want to treat your muscle tension from working out or injury, or just, like I said, those stresses of everyday life, there is no substitute for the Theragun Gen 4. All right? It doesn't just feel good. All right? It gets to the source of that pain by releasing that tension. Use Theragun's signature percussive therapy, which goes 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60% deeper than vibration alone. I know you want one. How can you get one? I'm about to tell you. You could try Theragun for 30 days, starting at $199. That is $199. So go to therabody.com/lockedon right now and get your Gen 4 Theragun today. That's therabody.com/lockedon. therabody.com/lockedon 3 times for you. Go get it. Zach, I know you wanted to do this. I know you wanted to talk about something, sir. Could you please tell the wonderful people out there about this wonderful, wonderful thing that we like talking about, that Matt loves, called Built Bar?
Dave, it would be my honor and my pleasure.
Thank you, sir.
So, if you listen to this podcast, you know 2 things. You know that, for the most part, before Dave got here, the ad reads are long and boring. You hit the skip button, you're like, I skipped 3 times, they're still talking about this thing. And the second thing you know is they're talking about Built Bar. And you know why they're talking about Built Bar? Because I have a conspiracy theory that Built Bar owns the Locked On Network, or it's just that good. They've been talking about Built Bar for years. They talk about it every day. They talk about it on every podcast. Doesn't matter what you're locked on. You can be locked on. You can be locked on landscaping. They're talking about Built Bar. And they're talking about Built Bar because it's good for you. It tastes like a candy bar. I don't know. I've never actually had one. I'm up here in Canada. I don't think I can get them. I've tried. I looked into it because I said, man, they won't stop talking about Built Bar. Apparently there's I don't know. There's 8 flavors, 16 flavors. It doesn't matter. There's a bunch of flavors. You'll find one that you like. And right now they got a special flavor. It's called Rocky Road. If you've ever had Rocky Road ice cream, which I actually never have, then you probably have an idea of what this bar tastes like. It's probably got, I think it's chocolate, marshmallows, whatever. But the point is, it's good for you. It's a low amount of net carbs. Okay, it's probably 3 or 5. It's like 150, 180 calories. Guys, I'm telling you, I'm not reading anything right now. I've just heard these ads so many times that I think I know what I'm talking about. Someday, when I get back to America, I'm going to get me some Built Bars. And you know how I'm going to get it? I'm going to get it by using the promo code that I could have used for the past 18 years, and it's Locked On 15. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's what it is.
Locked 15. Locked 15.
I'm going to look it up before I use it. It's Locked 15. I'm pretty sure that's going to get me 15% off of something. I'm going to get them Built Bars. I'm probably going to get the, I think it's called like the variety pack. So I can try all the flavors. I'll find the one I like the best. I'm going to be pumped when I get that special flavor. I've heard them talk about a birthday cake one, which I hope I get someday if it comes back. But I'm telling you, people, I've been rambling on forever, and it's about Built Bar. I don't know what it tastes like, but I'm sure it's great because Locked On Network loves it. Okay, so go to built.com.
Correct.
Thank you. Go to built.com, put in that code LOCK15, get you 15% off of the Built Bars that they keep telling you about. And maybe if we all do it, people, if we get together and we all get some Built Bars, they'll stop telling us about it. Okay? Some other sponsors. Because we all know about Built Bar. It sounds great. The end.
Give it up. I love the fact that you just did all of that with no ad copy in front of you. You've just heard us talk about it that many times. Oh my goodness. I think that should and could be our last Built Bar read ever. We're just gonna tell the ad sales people at the network we're done. We can't peddle Built Bar anymore.
Go to built.com. Built.com.
All right. So Zach, looking at the Bulls competition this season, you could definitely see them making a 5th or 6th seed in the East. And certainly, like they could probably beat up on their division. Like I think we all know the Cavs are going to be bad. The Pistons will probably be pretty bad as well. The other thing you want to see them do is win some more close games late than they were able to do last season. The Bulls lost a lot of close games against quality opponents last year. And that has kind of been an interesting question among Bulls fans looking into this season is, I think the Eastern Conference overall got better. So it's going to be hard for the Bulls to make that big of a leap. When it comes to those close games and close games late, people have been wondering, does Zach LaVine have the ball? Does DeMar have the ball? Does Lonzo have the ball? How would you like to see the Bulls operating their half-court offense in those, it's a 4-point game or less and there's 2 minutes to play?
I don't care. I just want them to do whatever wins them the game. And, to harp on it, it's like the other night, everybody was broke and DeMar wasn't, so they let him do it. The past few years has been the only person who might be able to make a bucket is Zach. So I think we're all thinking like, oh, it's going to be Zach. It's the Zach show. It's the Zach show. Whatever's working, and like, and if Zach's on fire and DeMar's doing good and whatever, it's like, oh, great. That might mean P. Will is open under the basket or whatever the heck. And I just want us to be a team who like just does whatever it takes to win. And I want to be a team who doesn't lose a ton of games to teams that we quote unquote should beat. And I want us to win the close games. I want us to pull out a couple games against teams that you never thought we would beat. I have a feeling, I'm not saying I have a feeling this will happen, but I have a feeling that it could happen where we're that kind of surprise team. We're kind of that Cinderella team. And I think the biggest thing working against us is just the lack of experience in this group together. And, they're going to have to build that chemistry and everything. But I believe in that, like, excitement that each of those players has to be here and be on this team. And I think that can go, it's one of those intangibles I just kind of feel like can go a long way.
Zach, I do have a question for you, man. How does your are you trying to raise your children under that Chicago Bulls fandom umbrella? Are you trying to heap that upon them, or are you just letting them make their own kind of decision?
No, they don't get to make any decisions. They're Chicago fans. I mean, we had.
So they're not Vancouver Grizzlies fans right now?
No.
No Canucks? Nothing? Okay.
Oh, my goodness. They were like, my daughter says sorry so much. I'm like, stop. Everything. It's like she'll trip and be like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, what are you sorry for? Stop. It's okay. You don't have to apologize.
Oh, yeah.
But
yeah.
no. So we live in LA. I've just been fortunate to be working, and it just happens to all have been up here in Vancouver. And we live 10 minutes from Dodger Stadium. And my wife's like, well, I think let's make them be Dodgers fans. I was like, no, we're not going to make them. We're not from LA. She's like, but they are. I'm like, I don't care. They're White Sox fans. The only time I've gone to a Lakers game, unless it was like I was invited by someone else, it was like when the Bulls are in town. I get tickets, and I was so excited. I had the Bears game on my iPad the other day while I was making lunch for the kids, and my daughter comes in and is like, what are you watching? And I was like, the Bears, you should watch this. She just kind of was like, oh, okay. It's the first time watching football. She was like, no idea what's going on. I'm like, we like the blue team. Yeah. And she's like, I like what? I forget who we were playing, but she's like, I like white. I'm like, no, you don't. You like the blue.
Right.
The blue.
Yeah.
yes.
I'm going through something similar with my younger niece right now. She just turned 2. Happy belated birthday to Rory. But so she loves Beauty and the Beast, and when she sees the Chicago Bears logo, it reminds her of the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. So anytime, and I send my nieces all kinds of Bulls and Bears gear, because I'm like, you as a parent, but an uncle, I'm like, you are Bears fans and you are Bulls fans. Like, you're not Houston Texans fans. Like, to hell with that. You're not Rockets fans. But so she thinks that the bear is the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. So anytime, I ask her, or her mom asks her, like, Roy, who's that on your shirt? She goes, Lion. And I'm like, no. You can't get bear and lion mixed up. There's this thing called the NFC North. No, let's get the word lion out of your brain, because you are not a Lions fan.
Totally fair.
I'm worried about that.
So is that on your parental to-do list? Hopefully as the world returns to normal, bringing your kids to a Bulls game at the UC.
Oh my God, that'd be amazing. A couple of years ago, the Bears were in LA, and I was gonna bring my daughter, and then it's so weird. I bought tickets through. I'm glad they're not a sponsor of yours. I think I got it through SeatGeek. And I bought the tickets, and I was like, oh, this is like a silly amount of money to spend on football tickets when my daughter doesn't even know what's going on. She's just going to be excited to get a hot dog. And then we get everything ready, bundled up, going to go to the game. It was like a night game. And I go to pull up the ticket, and they're like, oh, your tickets have been canceled. I was like, what?
Oh,
what?
It was so weird. I've never heard of that happening before. So anyway, I didn't get to take her to the game. And now, it sucks. With COVID and whatever, the world, and especially since, they can't get vaccinated, we're just super careful with them. And so I can't wait to bring her to a game. I don't know when it will be, but it's definitely on the bucket list. It just, unfortunately, probably will be in a couple of years.
I mean, are you even parenting if you haven't had Benny the Bull just douse your child in popcorn? That's
exactly.
So speaking of being careful in this time of COVID, I do want to talk to you about this latest project of yours, which I watched and can't recommend highly enough. But before we talk about the show, what has it been like being an actor working on sets in this past 18 months, where there's all kinds of protocols, and from what I've heard, there are COVID cops on film and television sets, making sure that people are doing. Has it added just immense levels of stress to your job?
No, it's actually the exact opposite. I feel safer at work than I do anywhere else. We get tested 2 or 3 times a week. Everybody, always have a mask on. And if anyone is near me when I don't have a mask on, because I'm working, they not only have a mask, but they have a face shield on. And it's just, at the beginning too, before we knew as much as we do about the virus, they even had to like put surgical gowns on to come near me. And then when they'd go to another actor, they'd have to change that gown. And like, so point being, it actually was great. And then the people I work with, I've been lucky to work with other actors and crew members who I really like. So we've been able to hang out outside of work because we're so regularly tested and we're around each other at work that it just, it allowed us to live in a little bit of a bubble. And I've also been very lucky because up here in Vancouver, the numbers are just so much lower than they were in Los Angeles. So actually work makes me feel super safe. So I wrapped work like a month ago and I started another job in like a month or so. And it's kind of like, I wish I was getting tested all the time. I'm fully vaccinated.
You'd rather be on a set getting tested several times a week.
Yeah, totally. It's just knowing. And again, for me, it's just so much because of my kids. It's like, I'm fully vaccinated. I could, I'd probably be fine. I'm a pretty healthy guy. You never know. But if I got a breakthrough, like, I don't want to bring that home to my kids. There's nothing they can do. They're just so yeah, I felt so lucky just to have a job, to have work, and to be in a very safe work. These frontline workers, I feel for them, and I can't appreciate them enough. It's been a hard year for everyone, and not to be a downer, but then I just get so pissed at people like Kyrie, where you're like, what are you doing? Like, what is wrong with you? Just get educated.
Kyrie's got to be Kyrie, man. It's like so predictable.
It's his personal choice, but then to like be around, there's all these other people that he's around. And if he's like, I'm not going to get vaccinated, I'm going to stay in my house and not go around anyone, great. Good for you.
Yeah.
Sounds good. But
so you're saying you're not in favor of the Bulls trading for Kyrie because they might try and sell him for cheap?
No. I don't want him.
He's like, nowhere near me. Can't do it.
Nowhere near me.
So
that's my soapbox.
I was looking at your filmography, man, and I noticed that you've done The Devil's Due, you did The Purge Anarchy, and now you're doing this great show, Midnight Mass. So I got to ask, why so angry?
Because he's been a Bulls fan.
Yeah. Hey, I'm not actually, if you see these, I'm always the guy who's like, what the heck? I'm like the victim. I'm the nice guy.
It's true.
This new show I'm doing, Midnight Mass, I am the nice guy, but I'm not very happy. I'm pretty morose and a little.
There's definitely some darkness in your past with your character.
A little bit.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it a little bit, because I watched the whole series. So I won't spoil anything. If you haven't checked it out, it's Midnight Mass, streaming on Netflix. Like when it debuted, it was in the top 10 on Netflix. Like everybody's digging the show. I tweeted about this because I'm not a big like horror, like psycho thriller kind of guy when it comes to film and TV genres. But because my boy Zach Gilford was in it, I was like, well, I gotta watch. I gotta watch. Holy crap. So many twists and turns. It's so well acted. The cinematography is beautiful. But I mean, what is it like being on set? And like Big Dave mentioned, like not necessarily your first piece of work in that genre. Is it hard to like get yourself into that frame of mind when there's really spooky shit going on, but then there's just, like a camera guy scratching his butt? Like I've always wondered, because whenever I've gotten creeped out watching something, I just remind myself, there's a fat camera guy scratching his butt on the other side of this camera, and that takes all the fear away.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's true. You got to kind of learn early on to just kind of not pay attention to that. And like, I'll never forget the first like TV film, anything I ever did. It was a student film when I was in college. And there's a scene where it's me and a girl in a car. And then when it's my close-up coverage, whatever you want to call it, the girl, the cameraman is sitting where the girl is supposed to be, and the girl is sitting behind the cameraman. So I'm acting with the cameraman. It was like, oh, this is not as easy as I thought it was. And you kind of just learn. And then one really cool thing. So Hamish Linklater, who plays the priest in our show, and I think he was just amazing. I can't imagine anyone else doing that part because he's just so different and just himself. Like there's no one like him. And he told me he has to do these long sermons or homilies or whatever. And I think part of why they work and you don't get bored is he said he talked to a preacher, and that preacher was like, you know, imagine the things you're speaking to your congregants, you're speaking to the people in this church, and just, I know there's cameramen there, grips, but imagine you're speaking to them too. You know, something you're saying might resonate with the crew member. So like preach to them as well. And so it helps. Like, I thought that was just kind of a cool way to use the crew as opposed to just try and block them out. But there's also times where, you know, we did scenes where, you know, it's like a creepy, dark scene. And someone, I'll never forget, sorry, it was Hamish again, but he was like, in the middle of this like speech, and he's like, I'm sorry, can we, it's all dark, and then I just see all these white masks. Like, and it's just kind of distracting. And they're like, oh, sorry. So then, you know, crew members are like putting like blankets over their heads and stuff. So sometimes it gets a little distracting. For the most part, you usually have learned to kind of just zone it out and be where you are.
I noticed that in this one in particular, this character definitely has a Chicago connection because the character, you know, moved to Chicago. And I noticed that in Friday Night Lights, your character in there also moves to Chicago. Is this something purposeful that you might just be mentioning, or is it just working out that way for you?
It's kind of just working out that way. I mean, especially this one, you know, the script was written way before I was attached and Chicago was a thing. Friday Night Lights, you know, the Chicago thing came up season 3 or 4. So maybe the writers, because they knew I was from Chicago, thought that'd be a fun like Easter egg. There was one job I did where it was a show that was short-lived, but I was, you know, like a young doctor, and I was supposed to be from Boston, and I talked to the creator, and I was like, look, Boston's a very great working-class thing, but, like, that's such a specific accent, and, like, I can do it, but as opposed to, like, working and focusing on an accent, why don't we just make them from Chicago, which is another working-class place, and then, you know, my natural accent will just make sense. And she was like, yeah, sure, I don't care. Boston, Chicago, you'd be from Nevada if you want. So that one time it was out of my laziness and not wanting to have to like act. The other times it was just a coincidence.
Are there any other actors that you know that are as big on the Chicago Bulls as you are?
Not that I know personally. I mean, I know Vince Vaughn is like a huge Chicago sports fan, and who else? You know, it's funny, you reached out to me about him, but a friend of mine, Lamar Morris, is from Chicago and a big Chicago sports fan.
Michelle Williams. I just did promo for some other podcast where the host talks to like actors and celebrities who are diehard sports fans, and one of the examples they give was Michelle Williams, huge Bulls fan.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, and I'm sure, especially because we're such a global thing, and in the, you know, if you were coming up at that time, you know, you kind of just were a Bulls fan because it was fun.
Yeah.
And we were on WGN for a while too, which is why like so much of America loves the Cubs, is because it was like the team you could watch. Right. So I don't know. I mean, there's a bunch, but yeah, we don't have like a little chat group or anything.
We're gonna get it started. We're gonna get it going.
Yeah.
I was also curious to know where you guys shot Midnight Mass, Zach, because so like it's a fictitious, like, you know, off coast island, like a tiny little island community, population like a few hundred people. What is it? Pacific Northwest? Is it Atlantic? Like, where is this supposed to be set?
It's supposed to be the Northeast. Yeah, kind of like, I don't know specifically, but yeah, we shot it all in Vancouver, and we kind of lucked out because we were supposed to start shooting March 16th, 2020. So all our sets were built. And then we shut down for, you know, 8 months, and all these sets just sat and got pounded by the weather of Vancouver, like the sun, the rain, everything. So then when we went back to shoot, I mean, they'd already aged them a bit, but they had all this natural aging and they just looked so real. And I could not believe I did this. So we're shooting on one of the like outdoor sets of the town, and it's all these houses, and we're walking around, and then I walk into the house because that's what happens in the scene. And I look, and it's just like empty, you know, it's just, there's nothing there. It's just support. And I was like, damn, when are they going to finish this set? Because like, aren't we shooting the interior stuff there? And someone like looked at me like, huh? And I said, oh, man, what? Of course, this is fake. It's fake. We're gonna shoot it on a stage. like that's a whole different set. But it was so real. Like it felt so real that even I forgot and was like, why is there no inside to this house?
Oh man,
wild.
Is there a role that you played that is like your favorite? Like it doesn't have to be a popular one that people just might really know you for, but one that you're just like, you know what? Yeah, this is the one I want to tell my kids about this when they get older. What role is that for you?
To tell my kids about, I mean, you know, in a way, look, Midnight Mass I'm super proud of. Like I had a
Sure.
It was a challenge for me, and I'm proud of, you know, the finished product.
Mm-hmm.
I think the first I'll show my kids is going to be Friday Night Lights, just because it's such a family friendly and good show.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'll be weird for like my kids to see Daddy as a teenager kissing other girls, which is just odd too. But so that, and then, you know, the part that I think I had the most fun playing was this show called The Family that I did with Joan Allen, who's this amazing actress. And I was just kind of like the ne'er-do-well alcoholic son. And the creator of that show, Jenna Bands, who I've worked with a few times, she created Good Girls, which she gave me a part on and I loved working on. But she knows how I work, and she kind of was like, Zach, you can do whatever you want. like I know there's a script, but you can do whatever you want. And it worked because I'm the like kind of, you know, mess up son. And so in every scene, I just got to do whatever I thought was funny and like mess with people. And because me and my sister had this like rivalry, so I'd always like every scene with Allison Pill, I was just trying to like fuck with her. And it helped to get under her skin because she's like trying to do the scene and I'm just like doing my own thing. She's like, what the fuck is Zach doing?
That's great. Let me tell you this, because I'm not a fan of like network television dramas. I've never really watched, because I always felt like there was a line that you can't really cross.
Oh, yeah.
And a friend of mine years ago said, dude, you got to watch this show Friday Night Lights. And I was like, based off the movie, I was like, man, I don't want to watch that. Like, I don't care about that. I'm not looking at that. And he kept harping me. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll watch it. And then like 2 weeks later, I came to him. I was like, I deeply apologize. This is one of the greatest things I've ever seen. This show, I was completely hooked on that show. It honestly was one of the greatest network dramas I've ever seen, man. And man, kudos to you guys for the work you did on that.
Thank you. And it was, you know, it was different than your typical network show. And with what you said about it being based on the movie, you know, Peter Berg, who did the movie, he said while he was filming the movie, he was like, well, this is a TV show, because in the movie, you get to tell one story about the team that season and what they do. And he was like, I want to tell the story about the car salesman booster. And I want to tell the story about the coaches, like Connie Britton, who was in the movie as well. She had so much in the movie that didn't make it into the movie because it's just, you know, you only have 90 minutes. Right. And he was like, he tried to convince Connie to do the show. She's like, I'm not doing that again. Like my part was nothing in the movie. He's like, no, the whole point of the show is like, I can tell your story. No one cares. It's not about the team. It's about these people. And yeah, that show it was a joy. I was so lucky to have that be like my first job, but people really loved it. I always tell people, like, I never tell people to watch anything I do. I'm like, I don't care. Do it. Watch it. Don't. Up to you. And if people like ask about that show, I'm just like, look, watch the first one. If you like it, you'll like the show. If not, you don't have good taste. But I'm not gonna tell you watch anymore. I hate shows like this. Is my thing. Whenever someone's like, hey, you know, you just got to get through 2 or 3, and then it's like so good. I'm like, I don't have 2 or 3 hours to waste watching crappy TV. Like, I don't care. Yeah. And that's the hard thing, honestly, with Midnight Mass. It's different. I mean, it's really a 7-hour movie, and it's like a slow burn. And it's not your typical show where like each episode something happens. You're like, ooh, and then like another arc. So it's different, but it's cool in that way. And it, you know, I don't really love, you know, I feel like horror is such an umbrella genre. And this is more kind of like gothic almost. And there's weird, creepy stuff in it, but you know, it's not like a slasher film or your zombie thing or whatever. And there's weird, gross stuff that does happen. But
I can attest to that. There's some gross stuff in that show.
Oh my God. Yeah. Oh, and filming some of it was like, but it's different, you know, and it's cool. And I think the acting is, really good, and I'm really proud of it. So I would recommend it, but if you don't like that stuff, then you don't like that stuff.
No, we recommend it for sure.
Speaking of episode 1 of FNL, of course, that makes me think of Jason Street and the way that whole season 1 plot line unfolds.
Yeah.
Before we get to, because I want to hear about what you're working on with Scott Porter, aka Jason Street. But first, you brought her name up. I can't not ask. How is my secret soon-to-be wife Connie Britton doing?
As far as I know, she's fine. She's good.
My crush has not subsided at all, Zach. At all.
It shouldn't.
I mean, why should it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I used to have a crush on Reese Witherspoon, and then when my wife found that out, anytime she was on a magazine or something, she'd be like, "Oh, it's your girlfriend." Oh,
right. Yeah. You don't let your wife know. Yeah, dude. You'll never hit into that.
And so I've trained. Now I'm like, that's not my type. I don't care.
Right.
I trained myself out of it. But you can go ahead having a crush on Connie as long as you want.
Well,
so that bottle he's drinking out of used to be full.
Yeah, right. The next time you talk to her, tell her secret crush. Matt says hi. What is this? What is this you got going on with Scott Porter?
So it's a fundraiser for Huntington's Disease Association. I don't want to. I think he's pretty public about it. His wife is affected by it, and it's just a huge cause. And there's not a lot of, there's so many things out there, so many disorders and diseases that need fundraising, need funding for research. And so, Scott every year for the past, I think 7 years has done this fundraiser. It's usually an in-person event. This year it's mostly virtual. But yeah, so Scott asked me, and I was totally happy to auction off a Zoom call with the two of us, 48 minutes full, which would be like your typical high school football game. And it's basically, you can get on a Zoom with me and Scott, ask us anything, bullshit. We can crack a beer. We can do life advice, whatever people want. And there's tons of good stuff, and I should have had this ready to go. But yeah, if you want to bid on it or see what other stuff they got, which is a lot of really cool stuff, the website, which is very important, is hdsa.org/freezehd. And if you want to get in on the auction, just go to hdsa.org/bid. But it's a really important cause, and it's very personal to especially Scott and me as well. And yeah, go check it out. Maybe there's something cool. I mean, you guys, I feel like you guys talk about pristine auction sometime. If you're into that memorabilia stuff, there's a lot of it. Scott knows a lot of really cool people from the industry. He's big in the comic world, and you'll probably see something that would be fun to put a bid on. And it's going to a good cause, not to a auction website.
That's awesome, man. All of our listeners, check that fundraiser out. Support a great cause with our guy Zach Gilford and his friend Scott Porter, two of the greatest characters in television history. And if you're looking for something spooky to watch this Halloween season, Midnight Mass, streaming now on Netflix. I watched it. I loved it. You won't be disappointed. Check it out. Zach does a terrific job, as does the whole cast and crew on that one. And if you want to, you can also follow Zach on Twitter at Zach Gilford 713. Zach, keep holding it down for Bulls fans out there in Vancouver, man. I like, you got to find yourself a little niche community of Bulls fans out there, and rep the red this season. Oh, speaking of which, are you glad that they switched back to wearing white at home?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's just always, I don't know, I was just raised that way. So it's just like,
right.
Weird. Mixing it up every now and then, fine. But it's like, why did we change that?
Because it was a dark time. That's why.
So simple. So simple. Dude, Zach, as always, we love it when you stop by and join the pod. We appreciate you. Appreciate your time. Watch Midnight Mass, people. All the best to you and your family as we near the holiday season and a fresh Bulls season. Anytime you got any Bulls thoughts on your mind, you can hit us up. You're welcome anytime, man.
I'll reach out. So good to talk to you, Dave. It was so nice to meet you.
Real nice.
You've been amazing on the show. I'm glad to hear your voice every day. It really, eases the burn of Matt's voice. And
you're not the only one who thinks that.
I literally was about to say that, Matt. But like I say all the time, Matt and I share a brain. It's like,
no.
We really do.
Oh, and I want to say also, like, I can't believe how much you hyped up my coming on here, I was like listening to the episodes. I'm like, dude, I don't think people were really going to care that much. But Sabine is awesome. Anytime he's on, he's like, I feel like I was like, that's a much better guest than me. I don't know what I'm talking about basketball. I just like it. He actually like has some thoughts. He's very funny. So anyway,
Sabine is great,
Give him a
but
shout out for
sometimes you just gotta knock him down a peg or two.
I try to ramp him up. He's the man. That dude is hilarious.
And I love John Sabine, but as it's no secret that I am a super fan of yours, Zach. So of course, in my mind, like having John join us for an episode, nowhere near having you join us. But so it's funny because after we did that episode, I just texted John on the side. And I was like, oh, by the way, the guest who we're keeping a secret for now is Zach Gilford. And he just replied, all caps, ha, 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 ha. That's awesome. So I think he agreed with my theory that all things considered, he was less of a big deal.
Equally entertaining.
Equally entertaining.
Zach, have a great weekend, man. Enjoy the start to this Bulls season. Be well, be safe, and can't wait to see what you have next on deck. Everybody go watch Midnight Mass on Netflix. For Zach Gilford and my co-host Big Dave, I'm Matt. Thanks for watching. As always, have a great weekend, Bulls Nation. Until next time, see Red, be good. Peace out.
All right, peace.